A reader recently sent me this vintage pie crust recipe, and I was really intrigued. It's a vinegar and egg recipe, which I had never heard before. And she wanted to convert it to einkorn. It was an old family recipe, and she really loved it and wanted to keep it, but has been using einkorn. So I decided to help her out. It took me a couple of tries to get it just perfect, but I was able to nail it finally. So I decided to use my food processor to make this pie crust. You can also use a pastry cutter, two knives, a fork, whatever you would like to use to cut in the fat, but I am using a food processor here. So I've added the flour. This is salt going in. And then I used a Mexican sugar, it's panela, and you can use whatever you'd like, coconut sugar or honey or maple syrup or whatever. I'm also using lard here, and you can use shortening if you would prefer. I have pastured lard on hand, and so I was using that instead, but shortening would work. Butter would change the texture a bit, so anything that is 100% fat could be used. Coconut oil would not be a good choice for this either. So we're cutting in the lard into the flour, and it's going to change the texture a bit. It's going to be kind of crumbly. You don't want it to be a fully cohesive dough yet. Next, I'm just taking one whole egg and some white vinegar. You can also use lemon juice or apple cider vinegar if you don't have white vinegar, but it's pickle season, so I did have white vinegar. Whisk those two things together, and then we're just going to dump them right into the food processor. And you're going to turn the food processor on just until it forms a cohesive dough. I let it run. It looks like I let it run a little long, but there was still a good bit of dry spots in there. So I'm just letting it go until it's all a cohesive dough. And then I'm going to show you the texture of it. You would think that it would be really sticky. It kind of looks like it would be sticky, but it's very soft and actually not sticky at all. You can see it doesn't stay on my hands at all, which is really cool. If you're going to roll this by hand, go ahead and chill it for 30 minutes at this point and then roll it out by hand. I actually have this really cool mini press that I have been loving for making tarts. And so I am using 25 grams of the dough and then pressing it into each one of these pie tins. And so if you're doing this, you do not want to chill the dough first. You want to just leave it really soft and supple so that the form doesn't have to work as hard. So I just went ahead and decided to measure all of these out. And like I said, I'm using 25 grams, and that made a perfect crust. And now comes the fun part, getting to press them all. And this is just like magic. Honestly, it's so fun. If you ever like to make mini pies, mini quiches, whatever, I highly recommend getting one of these. Oh, gotta stop and take a photo op. They are really affordable and all handmade in the US, and I just love it. I have a big one, and then I just recently got this mini press, and I love it. In the background, you can see Jason bringing in a wheelbarrow or a wagon full of zucchini for the day. And then I just decided to turn these into quiches this time. I've made them like mini pies before with like cherry pie and apple pie filling. But today I decided to make a bunch of quiches because we have a ton of eggs that we need to use up. And so these quiches are just going to get put into the freezer for easy breakfasts. I have a recipe for these quiches if you want it. I have it in the description of the video. So I just baked those really quickly and they turned out perfectly. No matter what kind of pie filling you're using, this is a really fun crust. It has kind of a shortbread texture and it's really delicious. As always, all the links for everything that you need are in the description. And if you haven't already, please consider following our channel, sharing this video with your friends. It really helps us out. And we'll see you next time.